All right, guys, so I want to try to make this thing as quick as possible because I'm starting to get a little tired. But, yeah, guys, UCLA defeats LSU. And first of all, let's give a huge shout out to Chip Kelly in this program, right? UCLA has definitely been down the gutter for quite a while. And they were able to pull off a a huge win for the program. This is a huge needed win for the program, for the state of California. Well, most importantly, their program, especially when it comes to recruiting, to beat a well-established program like LSU, like that, at home, I think was a huge win for this program. But Chip Kelly and this offense and this coaching staff, they outcoached LSU. Simple as that. I don't think that this was a question of talent. I think LSU was by far the more talented team. UCLA just outcoached LSU. They put on a coaching clinic. LSU had no answer. They couldn't make any type of adjustments to what UCLA and this coaching staff was doing to them. They could not stop the shallow cross all day long. They couldn't stop the shallow cross. They couldn't stop the stretch plays. For the most part, UCLA dominated LSU's defensive front off the line of scrimmage. On the line of scrimmage. LSU's offensive line was a hot mess. They couldn't block for crap. And again, I do believe that all five starters of their offensive line are back. All five starters of their offensive line were back from last year. And again, I had LSU as a dark horse. I had LSU as my dark horse to potentially win the national title or at least win the SEC. I thought that LSU's offensive line was going to get better. We've been hearing all for months that their receivers were a lot better. Their defense was going to be a lot better. And if you look on paper, a lot of those same players from last year were back, and a lot of those guys were 4- and 5-star recruits. And we all know the talent that's in the state of Louisiana. I just thought that LSU was going to come out here and just show off and definitely have a better showing. But this team looked undisciplined. This team looked like they had no fire. This team looked like they had no continuity. This team looked like they never even played with each other. I mean, it was absolutely insane. Not to mention the fact that Neil Farrell and Glenn Logan, kind of your two veteran defensive linemen, were hurt. They were hurt, and hopefully they'll have a speedy recovery. But again, it's not looking really too good for them. And they were already baffling the interior. So now if you lose those two guys, I don't know, man. LSU is just they are in a very, very rough position now. UCLA could just be this good, right? UCLA, they won last week. They won this week. They're 2-0. And looking at the Pac-12 conference, that conference sucks. I hate to say it. I'm sorry for any Pac-12 fans that are watching this, but the Pac-12 is garbage this year. The fact that Washington lost to Montana, I think USC handled it. Arizona State got a win, but the fact that the Pac-12 is not a good conference. Oregon almost loses to Fresno State, and that's probably your most talented team. I'm going to do a video on Oregon very shortly. But the Pac-12 is not good this year. The Pac-12 really hasn't been good in a minute. And UCLA could honestly be your favorites to win the whole thing. So maybe UCLA is just this damn good. Or maybe the fact that LSU is garbage. Again, they couldn't make any adjustments at all on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. I don't know what you can do. I mean, at this point, if you're an LSU fan, I don't know if you're thinking Ed Orgeron is fired, but I guarantee you it's one of the things that's on the back of your mind. You're thinking if this team goes 6-6, 7-5, or I would even go as far as to say if this team goes 8-4, Ed Orgeron needs to be considered he needs to be on the hot seat, or he needs to be fired. One of those two. Again, you fired Les Miles after you fired Les Miles after his track record. You look at Gene Chizik. He was fired after that horrible season back in 2011, back in 2012. You look at some of the better coaches, right, that were fired after having kind of mediocre to okay seasons. Listen, Ed Orgeron, I understand it. He won the New Year's Six bowl game. He won the national title. But the last couple years, we've heard nothing but We've heard nothing but negative things about this program. Whether if it was coaching, whether if it was the relationship between the players and your coaching staff, whether if it was protests, whether if it was and just their performance on the field. Again, we've heard nothing but hype from reporters, from other content creators like myself. We've heard nothing but just positive things that LSU was going to return. I fell for the hype. I fell for it. I thought LSU was going to have a better outing, but LSU proved that they pretty much were almost the same team from last time. Offensive line is crap. Defensively, they cannot stop the middle of the field. They could not stop the pass in the middle of the field. They could not stop the shallow cross. They still suck in the run game. They still are terrible in the interior. Again, Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley. There was a moment where Derek Stingley put little to no effort on the one tackle that UCLA scored a touchdown on off of the shallow cross. But Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley are still a good duo. I still feel like Derek Stingley is going to be a first-round pick. But this team, for what we saw today, they're not going anywhere. I don't know if they're going to beat A&M. I don't know if they're going to beat Alabama. I don't even know if they're going to beat Auburn. There's way too many damn question marks. And based off of the effort that we saw today, I don't know, man. This is not looking good for LSU. But Ed Orgeron definitely needs to be on the hot seat after this game because this was an embarrassing loss, not just for LSU, but for the SEC as a whole.